In this guide, I will talk about the tank selection recommendation in a team lineup. Then I will talk about the category or the type of tanks, and finally I will explain the roles of each tank in detail. Selection of a proper tank is very important for the team because the tank is the main frontline defense. Let's say if your tanks are to fall in any stage, could be in adventure stage or during the raid stage or maybe the world boss, then one by one your whole team will get wiped. So the tanks are considered as utility heroes, and currently in King's Raid, usually as players progress more towards the end part of the game, we will come to realize that we actually need to build each of the tank if you want to play in different contents, especially if you want to excel in different contents. Now let's recall back our standard PvE team lineups in my previous team building guide. So our team is mainly composed of the tank, main DPS, sub DPS or the CC and healer. But in this guide, we will focus purely on the tank. So in order to determine what tank to select, firstly, we need to determine the type of the team that we are going to build. So the most common question to ask ourselves is, firstly, are you going for a magic team or a physical team? And second, you are building the team for which PvE content? Raid, world boss, adventure? I will categorize all of our tanks into 4 types. Firstly, protective tanks are tanks that provide P defense or M defense buff to the team. CC bar reducer tanks has the ability to reduce large amount of CC bar. And amplification tanks functions to boost up the overall team DPS by defense reduction or damage amplification debuff. And finally, we have the warrior's ambition tanks. So those tanks have the ambition to become a warrior. They want to betray the knights and become the warrior.
Don't try this yourself.
For the protective tank, we have Klaus, Demia, Mora, and Ricardo. Klaus and Demias protect the team from incoming physical threat or damage, whereas Mora and Ricardo protects the team from incoming magic sources. For CC bar reducer tank, we have Mora, Ricardo, and Sonia. They have the skills that are able to remove a huge amount of CC bar from the boss and helps to knock down the boss frequently. Hence, if we are able to knock down the boss frequently, then we can reduce the risk of boss using more dangerous skills or prevent the boss from using it, like Dragon's Flying Breath. The amplification tank goes to Klaus, Philops, Jane, Mora, and Sonia. Klaus and Philops are the amplifiers or damage booster for physical team, Jane and Mora for the magic team, and Sonia is the amplifier for both physical and magic team. But Sonia will need to take a transcendent perks to be able to do amplification for both team. So for the last type, we have the warrior's ambition tank. Philop, Mora, Jane, and Sonia wish to become a warrior, well, mainly because they have offensive kits or skills or perks that deal damage based on their HP, so they are actually capable of doing some DPS. However, some of the tanks have to sacrifice their defensive stat or their tanking stats in order to become a good DPS. Klaus provides the best physical defense and physical damage reduction protection buff to the team. Among all the tanks, he is the best physical protection. Besides being a protective tank, he is also able to amplify the damage of physical team by debuffing 25% physical damage amplification and reduce 30% of physical defense from the enemy. Besides that, in his CC part, he has a long duration stun ability in his first skill. He can stun up to 5 seconds. Also, in boss fight, his skill 2 is able to slow down the enemy by 50%. He can make the boss into a slow motion mode. So this slow motion mode is actually very important and useful in boss fight because the boss will use his skill slowly and we can delay the boss to allow the cooldown of our skills. He is an all-around tanker that is useful from the early part of the game until the end part of the game. And you can use him like everywhere, literally everywhere. Next we have Mora. Mora is a protective tank. She is a good CC bar reducer. She is also an amplification tank. And she is capable of dealing good DPS but has to sacrifice her tanking stats. So Mora provides medium magic defense buff and high magic block chance to the team with her skill number 2. However, magic block is still a chance and there is a risk of failing to block. She provides a total of 42.5% magic block after taking the transcendent perks for that skill. In long duration fights such as the world boss, she is able to provide 40% magic damage amplifier, but she requires like around 50 seconds to 1 minute to get her skill 4 stack to 100 in order to activate the 40% magic damage amplification debuff. Her skill 1 is a low cooldown high CC bar reduction, and if she is built into offensive like giving her the attack critical damage and attack speed, she can deal high DPS and transform herself into a warrior. Next we have Demia as another protective tank. So Demia provides a small amount of physical defense and high amount of physical block chance to the team with her passive alone. A passive is actually better than a normal skill because it doesn't require mana for activation or for the protection. It activates permanently. And so far Demia is the only tank that is able to provide physical block chance to the team. Aside from her protection, Demia has a good disruptive CC skill and special pulling skill that are specifically more towards the PvP. Generally, I would say that Demia is more towards the PvP or the arena content. However, in some PvE content like the challenge raid or the harder dragon raid, her physical block chance is actually needed for those stages, mainly for the dangerous endgame content raid, especially against physical incoming damage such as the challenge raid and the poison dragon hard mode. Next, we have our grandpa Ricardo. Ricardo is a protective tank and he is a heavy CC bar reducer. Ricardo provides very huge or very high magic defense buff to the team, but there is a condition. The allies must receive magic damage first. Each time the ally receives magic damage, Ricardo's passive will kick in and provide huge magic defense and have to be stacked multiple times for the huge magic defense buff. Ricardo is also known as the Honorable Grandpa. Well, he is very honorable because he can sacrifice himself for the sake of a team member's survival using his skill 2. But recently he got buffed and his T5 Dark actually protects him from getting sacrificed once every 60 seconds. Moreover, he has good disruptive CC skill in skill 1 and a huge CC bar reduction in skill 3, and this would help to knock down the boss. So if there is any stage with continuous or multiple hits incoming magic damage, then those stage is the best field for him, like the Verbos 2 Proteanus. Philop is the amplification tank, and he also has a little of warrior's ambition, just a little. Philop is the best physical team damage booster tank. He is able to boost up the DPS of physical team in a large margin. He has physical damage amplification in his passive skill 4 and a huge physical defense reduction debuff in his first skill and the passive. Philop is also known as the physical defense shredding dwarf. Among all the heroes, he has the highest physical defense reduction kits in the game. So he can reduce a total of 50% physical defense, and after that, on top of the 50% physical defense reduction, he is able to further reduce another 17,500 physical defense. Philop has Transcendence perks that allows him to deal damage based on HP, and this seems like a good route for him to become a good mini sub-dealer. Jane. She is an amplification tank, and she also has the warrior's ambition. Jane is able to provide 50% magic damage amplification to the team, and I believe currently she has the highest magic damage amplification debuff among all the tanks. Yes, only among the tanks. She also has disruptive and long duration stun in his first skill. Besides that, she is very friendly to new players because she has 2 life. If she dies once, she can come back to life. Jane's Transcendent perks are actually more to offensive perks. She can be built to deal decent AoE attacks in adventure stages by sacrificing her tanking stat. We have to give her the attack, critical attack speed, and critical damage for her to deal good AoE attacks. But against a single target enemy like the boss, she still doesn't deal good damage. So in my opinion, it is still better to make her as a real tank. Next we have Sonya. Sonya is a CC bar reducer tank. She is also the amplification tank, and she has the warrior's ambition. Wow, so many tanks is having the warrior's ambition. So Sonya has both multiple disruptive CC skill and huge CC bar reduction skill. Her skill 1 and skill 2 is the disruptive CC, and skill 3 is the huge CC bar reduction. At the same time, with her passive skill 4, she is able to provide up to 40% magic damage and physical damage amplification for the team. But this amplification is only more effective against single target boss. By default, she provides 40% magic damage amplification debuff, but if you go for her Transcendent perks in skill 4, then she can provide amplification for both sources. And for the warrior's ambition, Sonya has T5 perk that deals extra damage based on her HP per hit at 15% chance. Thankfully, Sonya's skill nature comes with multiple and a lot of hits. Therefore, the 15% chance to deal 10% of her HP to the enemy happens frequently. And she is capable to deal a good amount of sub DPS.